My husband emptied our daughter's college fund and ran off with his mistress. I was completely devastated, until our 12-year-old daughter smiled and said, "Don't worry, Mom. I took care of it." A few days later, he called, screaming after he found out. I walked into our bedroom at 6 a.m. and found Tom stuffing clothes into a suitcase like the house was on fire. No greeting, no eye contact, just frantic, cold movements. I stood there in my pajamas, frozen, unable to make sense of what I was seeing. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to stay calm. Tom didn't look up. He muttered, "What I should have done a long time ago." That sentence hit me like a punch to the chest after 22 years of marriage. I reached out, trying to touch his arm, something, anything, but he pushed me away like I was a stranger. "Please, Tom, just tell me what's going on." He finally looked at me, but his eyes were terrifyingly blank. "I'm leaving, Anna, today." His voice was calm, like he was just telling me he had a flight to catch. I was shaking. "Is there someone else?" He paused for a second, still folding his shirts. His gaze shifted, then he said, "This isn't about anyone. I just need to be free." But I knew he was lying, and that was the worst part. For months, he'd been putting his phone face down, always late meetings on his calendar. I had sensed something was wrong, but kept convincing myself I was just being paranoid. Now, all my suspicions came crashing down like a tidal wave, drowning whatever logic I had left. "Where will you go?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'll figure it out." Then came the sentence that knocked the air out of me. "I need you to transfer half the savings into my personal account." I froze. Not because of the breakup, but because of the word money. One name flashed in my mind, Emma, our daughter, and her college fund. I ran downstairs in a panic, ignoring the sting of my bare feet on the cold hardwood. Emma was eating breakfast, looking at me with concern. "What's wrong, Mom?" "It's nothing, sweetheart. Dad's just going on a work trip." I lied. I opened my laptop, fingers trembling as I logged into our bank account. My eyes locked on the balance in our main account, 247.83. I swallowed hard and clicked into our savings. 0. My heart clenched, but I still didn't want to believe it. I checked Emma's college fund, the one we'd been contributing to since the day she was born. Nothing. Not a single cent. I whispered. No, this can't be right," and hit refresh over and over like the numbers might change. But the screen stayed cold and unforgiving. I clicked into the transaction history, and everything crumbled. 3 days ago, while I was at book club, Tom had withdrawn all the money. Not just his share, but mine, and Emma's. With one click, he stole our daughter's future. I called the bank, praying there had been a mistake. But the representative confirmed. Tom had full access, and the transactions were authorized. I couldn't even speak through the lump in my throat. "I'm okay, sweetie," I whispered as Emma looked at me with worried eyes. She was only 12, too young to understand what had just happened. But the way she looked at me made me feel like I was the helpless child. The sound of footsteps on the stairs snapped me back. Tom was dragging his suitcase down without looking at either of us. I stepped in front of him. "You're really going to leave without saying a single word to her?" He stopped, hand on the doorknob. "I left her a voicemail," he said flatly. "She doesn't need a voicemail. She needs you to look her in the eye and tell her why you're walking away." Emma stood up from the table and looked at her father like she didn't recognize him. No tears, no begging, just a chilling silence. "You'll understand when you're older," Tom muttered, then turned away. The door clicked shut behind him. Not a slam, but somehow, it hurt even more. Neither of us said anything for several minutes. Then Emma turned to me and asked, "Is he coming back?" I couldn't answer, but Emma nodded gently, like she already knew what I couldn't say. "He took all the money, didn't he?" she asked, her voice soft. I could only nod, and for the first time, I saw something in Emma's eyes. Not tears, but something very different. Emma stood up, washed her bowl, and turned back to me. "Don't worry, Mom," she said, calm in a way that sent chills down my spine. "I took care of it." I almost laughed at how absurd it sounded. Emma was only 12, but her face was serious, dead serious. There was nothing childish in her voice, only certainty. "What do you mean you took care of it?" I asked. "I have to go, or I'll miss the bus," she said, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. I just stood there, watching her walk out the door, my mind spinning. I couldn't function all day. I kept refreshing the laptop, staring at those zeros. I even checked the backup account, also empty. Everything we ever saved for our daughter, gone. But the thing that disturbed me most was Emma. She didn't panic, she didn't cry, she didn't even seem angry. She just went to school like it was any other day. That evening, I called my sister Amy for advice. I was in free fall and Emma somehow wasn't falling with me. While I was talking on the phone, I heard the steady clicking of a keyboard coming from Emma's room. Ting, 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 rhythmic, like a sad little melody. Amy asked, "Is Emma playing a game?" "Probably doing homework," I replied, though an uneasy feeling crept into my chest. Something in my gut whispered, this wasn't normal. That typing sound, it didn't sound like gaming. It sounded like coding, or writing something structured, organized, Like an investigation. I knocked on her door. I'm making your favorite grilled cheese and tomato soup, okay? Thanks, Mom, Emma replied quickly, snapping her laptop shut. I noticed, but didn't say anything. I walked in with the tray of food. Everything in her room was oddly tidy. Textbooks, notebooks, planners lined up perfectly, like a display. I set the tray on her desk, and out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a minimized email window. What are you working on? I asked, keeping my voice light. My history paper. About the Industrial Revolution, Emma replied instantly. Too fast. Too perfect. It only made me more suspicious. Need help with anything? No, thanks. I've got this one, she said, without looking up. I placed my hand gently on her shoulder, but all I got was a faint smile in return. I walked back to my room, feeling even heavier than when I saw our bank account. Emma was hiding something, and it wasn't small. Her words echoed in my head. I took care of it. The next morning, she still got up at exactly 7:15, like always. Her shirt crisp, hair tied neatly, backpack ready by the door. Have a great day, Mom, she said, kissing my cheek like nothing had happened. I nearly broke down from her unnatural calm. I wanted to ask, to grab her and scream that I'm not okay. But instead, I just smiled and whispered, You too, I love you. That night, while folding laundry in her room, I noticed a paper sticking out from under her biology textbook. It was a printed email, and the name on it made my hands tremble. From Tom to Chloe. The email was about booking a hotel and planning the final step with Anna. I collapsed onto her bed, heart pounding in my chest. My daughter had accessed her father's personal emails. Emma, how do you have this? I asked, turning to see her standing in the doorway. She wasn't panicked. She didn't deny it. She just silently shut the door and walked in. Dad's not great at hiding his passwords, Emma said, sitting next to me. I started digging before he took the money. My jaw dropped. Emma knew all along? How long have you known? I asked. About 6 weeks, she said, eyes far too mature for her age. I waited to be sure and to find a way to hit back. I stared at my 12-year-old daughter, sitting beside me like a stranger. I didn't tell you because you weren't ready, Emma said gently. But now you have to know. She bent down and pulled out a thick spiral notebook from under the bed. This is everything I've found, she said, handing it to me. I took the notebook. It felt like holding a case file. Inside were handwritten notes, screenshots, diagrams, and strings of numbers. Passwords, IP addresses, wire transfers, and lists of websites. I flipped through a few pages, my heart racing. All of it was about Tom. How did you even get all of this? Emma shrugged. YouTube, Reddit, cybersecurity forums, everything's out there. Dad thought I was just a kid, she added, lips tightening. I didn't know whether to be proud or terrified. While I was falling apart, my daughter had turned into some kind of digital investigator. But, is this even legal? I asked, voice shaking. Emma looked up calmly. It's more legal than him stealing my college fund. Her words cut like a blade, calm but sharp. And I knew Emma was hurting. She just didn't cry the way I did. What else do you know? I whispered. Emma pulled out another stack of printed documents from her backpack and placed it on the table. Everything about Chloe, Dad's girlfriend. I opened it and saw complete information. Photos, home address, workplace, credit history. She's an investment accountant, right? Emma asked. I nodded silently. She's embezzling client money. Emma flipped to the next page, pointing at a list of suspicious transactions. Transfers to her personal account from non-existent funds. My mouth dropped open. How do you even know that? Because she uses the same password as Dad, last name plus graduation year. Sterling 2011. Not exactly secure for someone in finance, Emma said, like a teacher explaining something obvious. I closed the notebook, my head spinning from the avalanche of information. What do you plan to do with all of this? Emma sat up straight. Expose the truth. One step at a time. I'm tracking both of them, she added, pulling out her phone. Inside were photos of Tom texting on a burner phone. Dad thought no one noticed, but the hallway camera did. I waited for the day he charged it, then I accessed it. Emma opened her phone and showed me the full message thread between Tom and Chloe. I copied everything, sent backups to a private email, just in case. Every sentence out of Emma's mouth was another shockwave. I asked, Where did you learn how to do all of this? Emma calmly replied, Online. You just have to know where to look. I started flipping through her documents. There were bank statements, loan applications, forged signatures, all organized, like a middle school science project. Dad used my personal info for something really bad, Emma said quietly. I found credit card applications, mortgage forms, in my name. I gasped. What? The 75-0 he took. That's just the beginning, Emma said. I think he's trying to take out an even bigger loan, to buy a house. By using your identity and mine, Emma concluded, her voice slow and steady. I was stunned, collapsing back into the chair. Being betrayed was one thing, but being betrayed by the man who once swore he'd die to protect his daughter, this went beyond betrayal. It was a crime. Emma stood up, walked to the bookshelf, and pulled out a USB drive. This has a full backup of all the data, just in case the computer gets wiped. I looked at her, and for the first time, I felt afraid of her power. I haven't told anyone yet. I haven't acted. I was waiting until I had everything, until you were ready to fight with me. I swallowed hard, gripping her hand, and in that moment, I knew, from now on, we would never surrender again. I almost wanted to tear up all the papers on the desk, but my hands were trembling too much to move. Emma opened her laptop and pointed to a file titled Mortgage Application PDF. Dad submitted a loan request for $200,000 to buy a house in Florida, in my name, she said, like a lawyer presenting evidence. I screamed, "You're 12! How is that even possible?" He falsified the information, claimed I was 21, a third-year college student with a stable income. And he used your professional background to boost the financial credibility. Emma opened another folder. Photos of the home purchase contract, Google Maps screenshots, and even the name of the realtor. I recognized the house. Tom had mentioned it once in passing. At the time, I thought he was joking. Dad planned to move to Florida with Chloe and leave us buried in debt. Emma spoke while scrolling through folders like a seasoned legal analyst. But I stopped it. I turned to her, completely shocked. Stopped it? How? I sent an anonymous letter to the bank, warning them about credit fraud and forged documents. Then I filed reports with the Consumer Protection Bureau and the lender. Emma didn't stop there. She clicked into another folder titled Countermeasures. Inside were photos of complaint receipts, fraud reports, and letters to financial oversight offices. I started all of this 3 weeks ago, Emma said. I sat there speechless. 3 weeks ago, I was busy planning her birthday party, thinking our family was still whole. And all the while, she was carrying this dark truth, alone. Emma opened another folder. Chloe fraud evidence. Zip. Inside were Chloe's financial documents, fake client reports, and fabricated payroll records. She's embezzled tens of thousands of dollars from at least 4 elderly clients. How do you know that? I accessed her office computer, through a VPN connection from here. I gasped, horrified. Emma, that's hacking. Emma shrugged, her eyes cold and unflinching. And stealing my college fund isn't? I had no response. Logic told me to stop her, but my heart wanted to scream, "You did amazing, baby." I asked, "Do you have proof in case they deny everything?" Emma nodded, pointing at a set of files stored both locally and in the cloud. There are videos, screenshots, and transfer statements showing Chloe's personal account. I also sent the evidence to Chloe's workplace, labeled as an internal risk alert. She was suspended yesterday. My jaw dropped. Emma had done all of this before she even told me. "Are you sure you're safe?" I asked, eyes still on the screen. I used double-layer VPN, encrypted anonymous emails, and never used my personal devices. Her voice was so calm it was chilling. I left no trace. I sat there, trying to swallow the storm of emotions inside me. My daughter had been betrayed, but instead of breaking down, she fought back. Alone, quietly, strategically. "I didn't want to tell you sooner because you were hurting," Emma said. "I thought you needed time to understand what was really happening. But I couldn't just sit and watch everything be stolen. Chloe, didn't just steal from us. She used Dad as a weapon, and he let her." I saw Emma's hand clench, the only visible sign of her bottled rage. Emma turned on her laptop camera and showed me footage of Chloe accepting an envelope in her office. She took cash from an elderly client, then created a fake invoice. I pulled this from the building's security system. The access codes were stored under her old password. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Emma, 12 years old, had accessed evidence that even lawyers need court orders to retrieve. "What are you planning to do with all this?" I asked. "The SEC, financial police, and Dad." I turned sharply. "Dad? Yeah, so he knows. He's being watched. He thinks he's smarter than everyone, but he doesn't know I'm playing too, and I'm winning." Emma closed her laptop, her eyes like steel. And I understood. The real storm was just beginning. That night, while I was making dinner, Emma walked in holding a freshly printed folder. "I've sent all the evidence to Chloe's office," she said calmly, "and a copy to the Securities Control Commission as an anonymous whistleblower report." I looked at her like she wasn't a child, but a strategist in a small body. "You did all this alone?" "I used AI to help write the report, made it sound more persuasive," Emma added, as if it were just another school assignment. The next morning, I walked into her room and found Emma watching a live economic news stream. A headline scrolled across the screen. "Chloe Sterling suspended pending financial investigation." Emma just smiled. "Barely. I guess her boss got the email last night," she said. "She's probably taking down her LinkedIn and locking her Instagram as we speak." Step 1, complete. Just then, Emma got confirmation emails from 3 financial agencies. They were opening investigations and requesting further evidence and witness statements. "I also recorded some of Dad's voice messages," she said. "They might help." And I started to wonder, if Emma could do all this at 12, just how badly had Tom underestimated his own daughter? Or Maybe I never truly understood my child, and that thought breaks my heart and humbles me. That afternoon, Emma got word from a contact inside the system. Chloe had been officially fired, and her account was temporarily frozen for investigation. "And what about your beloved daddy?" Emma sneered, opening her laptop. She checked the bank accounts linked to Tom, information tracked through a synced app he forgot to log out of. 3 out of Dad's 4 accounts have been flagged for suspicious fraudulent activity. "I'm guessing he'll blow up tomorrow morning." And just like that, the next morning, while I was washing dishes, the phone rang. The name Tom flashed on the screen. Before I could react, Emma stepped into the kitchen, eyes alert. I answered. Tom's voice was frantic. "Anna, something weird is happening. My accounts are frozen." "And Chloe, she just got fired." Emma sat down at the table, opened her laptop, typing rapidly. "Your accounts are flagged for fraud," she said coldly. "The bank says it's under federal investigation. Chloe thinks someone's sabotaging her," Tom shouted through the phone. I glanced at Emma. She was calm, her eyes icy. Tom went on, "I think it's someone inside her company. Or, could it be you?" I didn't respond. I let him spiral. "Did you hire someone to follow me, a hacker, a private investigator?" His voice was cracking with fear. Emma tapped something. Her laptop let out a sharp beep. Tom screamed, "Wait, what was that? Someone's in my email." My inbox just opened and vanished. What the hell is going on? Emma looked up. "Hi, Dad." Tom froze. "Emma, it's you?" "Don't worry. I'm just checking your inbox," she replied, like she was speaking to an assistant. "And I saw an email you were about to send your boss, but not anymore." I had to cover my mouth to stop from gasping. Emma continued, "Remember to say thanks when I shut down all your fake accounts." Tom whispered, "I'm under attack." "It's not an attack," Emma corrected. "It's cleansing. I'm helping you clean up the mess you call a life." Tom started sobbing. "I was going to pay it all back, I swear. I just needed time. Chloe promised she'd help me rebuild." Emma didn't flinch. She typed something, then opened a folder labeled Chloe Private. Inside, a voice recording of Chloe on a call with another man. "Chloe blocked you yesterday, and she's already dating someone new." Tom went silent. "I know because I recorded everything from your second phone," Emma said calmly. "I know it all, Dad, and I'm just getting started." She shut her screen, turned to me. "Now it's our turn to live. Dad can go run." Tom stammered, "Emma, I'm sorry. I didn't think you knew. I was going to pay it back. It was just a loan." Emma cut in. "A loan using my identity? You used my social security number to apply for a mortgage. What did you think? That I'd never find out?" Silence stretched on the other end, then came a choked sob. Chloe, she needed to show financial stability to her dad. Mr. Grant wouldn't approve the relationship without a house." Emma's voice was ice. "So you sacrificed my future to buy a house for your girlfriend?" "No, I just panicked. I thought once I got rich, I'd pay it back and send you to a better school." Emma's tone dropped. "You think like a con man, not a father." "I'm not a bad guy," Tom screamed. Emma let out a dry laugh. "You used me as collateral. That says enough. And now everyone knows, including your boss." "Wait, what?" Tom turned his rage toward me. I was shaking, unsure whether to defend him or stay silent. Emma spoke for me. "I filed an anonymous report to your workplace. As of this morning, your boss received a warning with proof of forged loan documents, and a recording of you talking to Chloe about how to deal with Mom." I shuddered. Emma didn't just know. She had evidence. Tom begged, "Please don't send anything else. I've lost everything. I can't go anywhere, can't rent, can't even get a phone on a payment plan." Emma's voice softened, but only slightly. "I know. That's the beginning of consequences. You can apologize, but you can't undo what you did. You betrayed Mom, stole my money, and abused the trust of your own family. And now all you have left is yourself. You're too young to understand grown-up stuff," Tom screamed one last time. "Grown-ups don't sacrifice their children," Emma replied firmly. "I understand, Dad, and I learned that lesson way too early." She hung up. Tom shouted, "Wait," but all that remained on the line was a flat, repeating beep. Emma set the phone down and exhaled. "That's part one." I stared at her, stunned. "Emma, do you think you went too far? Are you scared, doing all this?" She turned to me, not a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "Being scared is sitting quietly while you're being hurt. I'm not sorry, Mom. Dad taught me one thing. If the adults don't protect you, you have to stand up for yourself." And that sentence broke me, because it was true, and because it should never have to be. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Emma had done, and what Tom had done before her. The same question repeated in my mind. When did my child lose her childhood? At 2:15 a.m., my phone rang again. It was Tom. I wasn't going to answer, but Emma walked out of her room, hair messy, eyes wide awake. "I got it," she said, and I handed her the phone on instinct. "What now, Dad?" she asked, still holding her glass of water. Tom choked up. "My email. Someone's using it to send documents out. My Facebook's been hacked. Zelle is blocked. The The bank froze all my transactions. Emma nodded slightly. Because you used my name to take out illegal loans. Now the systems are connected and flagged it. I've filled out identity theft abuse reports. You've officially been put on the bad credit watch list. I'm going to sue. I'll sue you for hacking me, Tom hissed. Emma shrugged. All the data came from devices you left unlocked, with no security settings. No hacking needed, just long enough observation. Tom screamed again. I'm your father. Emma closed her eyes, then opened them, as if sealing all memories. I used to believe that, until the day you chose money over me. I didn't destroy you. You did that with your own actions. I simply turned on the light so others could see. And with that, Emma ended the call and began a new chapter. A week after that last call, Tom never phoned again. I heard from an old friend that he's now living in his car, unable to rent a place due to a flagged credit report. When I told Emma, she only said, "That's still a cheap price for everything he did." Chloe vanished from all social media. Her LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter were locked. Her accounting office officially shut down for investigation. News outlets started reporting, "Embezzlement scandal rocks Sterling Capital investment firm." Emma didn't look thrilled, just quietly watched. Every evening, she updated developments, compiled news, and took notes like she was writing a formal report. "I'm building a resource to share later," Emma explained. I asked, "With who?" "With kids like me," she replied. "Kids betrayed by their own parents and don't know what to do." She began writing a guide titled Family Financial Self-Defense. It covered how to detect fraud, warning signs, and how to protect your identity. I read the first draft and was stunned by how in-depth it was. Emma sent the document to her homeroom teacher, who immediately forwarded it to the PTA. A week later, I got an invitation. Emma was asked to speak at the next PTA meeting. She nodded. "I'll go as a survivor. Won't it hurt to talk about family stuff?" I asked, worried. Emma thought for a moment, then said, "If I can talk about it, then I'm not a victim anymore." Her words brought tears to my eyes. While I was still working part-time at the library, Emma opened her own bank account. "I'm getting paid helping other families secure their accounts," Emma said, showing me a spreadsheet. In just 3 weeks, she'd helped 6 families recover over 30. I was stunned. Under what authority? Emma smiled. "I go by E. Patterson, Family Protection Consultant. No one asks your age when your solutions work." She had service price lists, guidance tools, and reporting templates for each state. Everything was legal, transparent, and effective. I couldn't help but wonder, is she a genius or just the product of deep trauma? When I asked her that, Emma simply replied, "I chose to understand the law rather than be a victim of it." And she kept typing, writing the next section of her guide. Title: When Parents Are the #1 Financial Threat. One day, I saw Emma's name pop up on a cybersecurity forum, an article analyzing Chloe Sterling's case, written by a user named EP. The post went viral. Thousands shared it, with comments like, "Thank you to the one who exposed the truth." I asked, "Was that you, EP?" Emma gave a small nod, unbothered. I wanted to leave a trail, not for fame, but to remind others not to stay silent. A week later, Emma received an email from a fintech startup called Secure Family. They invited her to join their young talent development program. Full college scholarship, starting salary, $120 year, 6-year contract. I was speechless. "Emma, they want to hire you at 13? She glanced at the email, then closed it. "I'm going to turn it down." I was shocked. "Why?" "Because they want me to build software that profits from fear, not actually protect people. I don't want to sell my skills, I want to share them." "What's your plan then?" I asked. Emma handed me a simple white business card. E. Patterson, Family Financial Protection Consultant, 75 hour. I'm helping people like me, those who don't even know they've been conned until it's too late. I guide them on how to file reports, trace transactions, and work with banks and authorities. I'd never seen a child with such sharp, focused eyes. "Do you feel sad, doing this instead of just being a kid?" I asked. Emma smiled. "I feel stronger than ever. My childhood isn't gone, it's just been redefined." That night, passing by her room, I saw Emma on Zoom. She was speaking softly to another boy. "I know what it feels like to discover your mom took your tuition money. I'll help you, and you'll help someone else later." I stood outside the door, listening to her comfort the boy. "This isn't your fault," she said. "The fault lies with the adults who failed us. But we don't have to stay powerless." That boy was only 14, and had just found out his mom spent all the college funds left by his grandmother. Emma showed him how to check statements, contact the bank, and protect his identity. "We're the new generation who knows how to protect ourselves," Emma said. After the call, I walked into the room and hugged her tightly. "You're doing what adults were supposed to do," I whispered. Emma said nothing, just held my hand firmly. That night, she posted a new article to the forum. "When the abuser is family, steps to stop being the victim." The article received over 20 shares in just 48 hours. At first, many parents were outraged. assuming the piece had been written by some extreme adult. But once they learned the author was a 13-year-old girl, their reaction shifted to admiration. One online paper wrote, "America's youngest and sharpest whistleblower." Emma received an invitation from the National Financial Protection Organization to speak at a virtual conference. She agreed on one condition: don't reveal my real age. I don't need them to think I'm special. I need them to hear the truth, Emma said. Her talk moved hundreds to tears. My dad tricked me, my mom ignored me, the system looked the other way. But I didn't choose silence. I chose to fight back, with knowledge. After her talk, more than 40 families wrote asking Emma for advice. She made a bold decision: to write a free comprehensive guide published publicly, Saving Yourself from Family Fraud. I read every page, feeling both proud and heartbroken. Every line was a lived experience, from a child who'd had even her trust stolen. Emma didn't write to criticize, but to prevent it from happening to others. I asked her, "Do you want to sue your dad?" Emma shook her head. "No, I want him to live with the consequences. That's a longer sentence than any court could give. And I want to focus on the people I can still help." One night, Emma got an email from Channel 7 News. They were expanding their investigation into Chloe Sterling and heard the whistleblower might be from Millbrook. "You want to reply?" I asked. Emma shook her head. "No one needs to know who I am. As long as others are protected, I'm good. I don't need to be famous, I just need to see results." Throughout the spring, Emma kept helping with more complex cases. A mother who stole her child's identity. An uncle who faked a will. A father who hid debt under his daughter's name. Each time, Emma was patient, quiet, and effective. I asked her, "How do you not get overwhelmed by emotion?" Emma replied, "I don't suppress my feelings. I turn them into data. And data can be analyzed, processed, solved." "Do you still feel angry at your dad?" I asked on a clear afternoon. Emma looked off into the distance. "I'm not angry anymore. I just feel sad. Because he had the chance to be the hero in my story. And he chose to be the villain," she finished. "That was his choice, not my fault." In her eyes, I saw no more pain, just truth. One day, I opened the news and saw the headline: 12 more families speak out against Chloe Sterling after initial exposure. I turned to Emma, who was calmly eating cereal. "I know," she said. She'd been following the developments. She even knew the names of the new victims. "This case isn't mine anymore. It's society's." I was just the one who lit the first spark. I suddenly understood. Emma wasn't just a child who survived family fraud. She was the ignition point of a financial awakening for an entire generation. I don't ask her, "Are you okay?" anymore. I know she is. More than that, she's helping others be okay too. Emma doesn't need a miracle to be strong. She is the miracle. One summer evening, while we were doing dishes, Emma suddenly asked, "Do you think Dad ever regrets it?" I paused, water running over my hands but a tightness in my chest. "Why do you ask?" I said gently. "Because I still see him posting stuff like we're birth, learning from mistakes, but he never mentions us." Emma dried a plate. "I just wonder if he really understands what he lost." I told her the truth. "I don't know. Maybe he regrets being exposed, not what he did." Emma nodded, like she had expected that answer. "I think so too. Do you want him to come back?" I asked, for the first time since everything happened. Emma looked up at me, calm. "No, because he was never really here. He played a role, and when the role got too hard, he left the stage." "I feel sorry for him," Emma said, voice soft as wind. "He had a chance to be a hero, and chose to be the villain. And I learned a painful but necessary lesson. I couldn't hold back my tears. I used to think I'd failed because Emma had to grow up too soon. But now I see. She didn't lose her childhood. She took ownership of it in her own way." Emma smiled gently. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm really okay. I know I'm not like most kids, but I don't need to be like them. I need to live truthfully and do something that matters." The next day, Emma released a new guide. Family, the place that can begin and also betray. It spread like wildfire. Finance groups shared it, teachers quoted it, parents discussed it. Emma didn't take credit, she signed it, a child who was once deceived. I asked her, "Why not put your name on it?" Emma said, "I'm not doing this for recognition. I'm doing it so no one else has to walk this path alone. So other kids will know they're not crazy, not wrong, not alone." One evening, Emma asked one final question about her dad. "Do you think he ever really loved me?" I looked at her for a long time before answering. "He loved the idea of you when you were obedient and blindly trusting." Emma nodded, as if that was the last piece she needed. "That's enough. I don't need that kind of love." From that day on, Emma never mentioned her dad again. Not because she forgot, but because she was no longer trapped in that story. She'd stepped out of the role of the abandoned child and into the role of the guide. Emma kept writing, not just financial guides, but emotional ones too. How do you heal when the person who hurt you is family? How do you come back, not to get revenge, but to live right? Emma started hosting quiet, private video calls. No fanfare, no spotlight. Families drowning in financial chaos found their way to her. like patients looking for someone to treat invisible wounds. I can't heal the trauma, Emma would say, but I can hand them a map to walk out of it. One boy who once called Emma for help is now a collaborator on her project. A mother who once stole money from her child came back to apologize and asked Emma how to make things right. A teacher invited Emma to guest lecture over Zoom as an anonymous expert. I want to build a network, Emma told me. People who've been hurt, helping each other. We don't need power, we just need truth. And trust. What do you want to call it? I asked. Emma smiled. Quiet fire. Because not everyone screams to fight back. Some choose to burn from the inside. And in that moment, I saw it. Emma wasn't burning to destroy. She was burning to light the way. Lighting the way for those who had been forgotten, dismissed, suffocated in the dark shadows of their own families. She hadn't just survived. She was redefining what justice meant. That night, Emma said one last thing to me before bed. You know, Mom, sometimes I think, if I hadn't found out early enough, maybe you and I would have been erased from our own lives. I hugged her tight. But you didn't let that happen. And she replied, like a manifesto. Because when adults fail, sometimes kids have to stand up. One morning at the library, the manager, Linda, leaned in and whispered, "There's a reporter from Channel 7 asking about your daughter." I froze. Asking about Emma? The reporter, Jennifer, was dressed professionally, notebook in hand. "We're expanding the investigation into Chloe Sterling's case," she said. "We heard the key evidence came from a teenager in Millbrook." I stayed calm. "I can't confirm that." She nodded, leaving her card. "If that young person ever wants to speak, we're ready to listen." But I knew Emma didn't need the spotlight. When I told her, she just smiled. "It's okay, Mom," she said. "I use 7 layers of security. Never log in on the same device twice. I'm not hiding because I'm scared. I'm hiding because the focus should stay on the issue." Emma kept taking calls, supporting families like a seasoned expert. Her story, though anonymous, spread like a quiet fire. A new hashtag appeared, "Protect the child, not the lie." A week later, the National Financial Security Forum posted a feature praising the anonymous teen who helped 12 families avoid bankruptcy. Emma turned to me. "I made a promise. Now I have to help 100 more. Because every person you help helps someone else." She built a simple website. No colors, no branding, no name. Just guides, warnings, templates, and short talk videos. At the bottom, "You are not alone." "How long do you plan to run this?" I asked. Emma replied, "Until adults learn not to hurt the children they bring into this world." I was speechless. I often saw her reading thank you emails, from a 10-year-old who discovered their mom had used their name for loans, from a big brother who found out their dad spent his sister's college fund. Each story was a tear, and Emma stitched them back together. No applause, no tears, no medals. Just quiet keys tapping into the night. One evening, Emma turned to me. "Mom, do you think I should write a book?" I smiled. "If not you, then who? No one knows it like you because you lived it." Emma began writing her first book. When adults get it wrong and you have to make it right. It wasn't a memoir, it was a handbook. Part personal, part universal. I read the first chapter and nearly cried. I don't hate my father, I hate the silence that let him do what he did. The silence of my mother, of society, of myself, until I finally broke it. Every word, every line, cutting like a scalpel, healing like medicine. Emma didn't write to vent. She wrote to open the door for other children still trapped. She wasn't just a storyteller. She was the one holding the key. A month later, Emma sent her draft to a nonprofit publishing group. They responded within 2 days. "We want to publish it. No edits. Because this isn't just a book, it's a lifeline for thousands of children." Emma agreed, on one condition. All proceeds go toward a legal aid fund for minors. For kids whose tuition was stolen, whose IDs were forged, who were forced into silence. And that's how the Emma Foundation was born. Quietly, but firmly. Full name, Emma Foundation for Youth Financial Justice. Slogan, "Children are not banks for grown-ups." I looked at her, slicing apples, scheduling Zoom calls, replying to a thank you letter from a girl in Texas. No crown, no spotlight, but Emma is the role model this generation needs. A hero with no cape, just clarity and courage. I no longer fear her past might break her. Now I fear the opposite. If that past hadn't happened, hundreds of other children might still be suffering. Emma didn't break, she was forged. That night, as Emma got ready for bed, she asked, "Mom, did I do the right thing?" I hugged her and said, "You didn't just do the right thing. You did the necessary thing that so few are brave enough to do." 6 months after the day Emma discovered her dad had stolen her college fund, everything had changed. She was no longer the betrayed girl. She was the guide, the advisor, the protector. But to me, she's still the little girl who used to cry silently in the corner, clutching her diary. Emma rarely talked about herself, but that day, after a long counseling session, she sat down and said, "You know, Mom, my wound doesn't hurt anymore. Because it grew into a doorway. I asked. A doorway to where? Emma smiled. To the truth, and to the kids who need me. I'm not a victim anymore, I'm a guide. Emma's website now has over 1 million visits. Hundreds of emails pour in each week, from children, teens, and even regretful adults. She replies to almost every single one, with a calm far beyond her 13 years. Sometimes I still find myself in awe, not because I'm afraid, but because I admire her. My daughter survived not by ignoring her pain, but by using it to help others stand up. No one taught her that, she learned it herself. From betrayal. Emma received an invitation to speak at a national conference on family finance. The organizers didn't know that the founder of the Emma Foundation was just a young girl, and Emma didn't plan on telling them. I'll speak through video, like always, she said. A voice matters more than a face, and truth matters more than age. Emma's speech brought the entire room to silence. My dad once said, family is the safest place, but he was the first one who hurt me. So I built a new family, a community without lies. After her speech, the hashtag #EmmaSaves trended across Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. But Emma simply said, if one kid hurts less today, that's enough. The rest? Fame doesn't matter. One evening, Emma said, Mom, I want to study law. I asked, to become a lawyer? She answered, no, to rewrite the laws that failed to protect kids like me. That's when I realized she's not fighting against someone. She's fighting for someone. For the other children, the ones still without a voice. One day, I saw her write on the bathroom mirror with whiteout. I don't forget. But I forgive, because I choose the future, not the past. I stood frozen. I remembered those early days, panicked, broken, lost. And now, I'm learning to be strong from my own daughter. The one who was once wounded is now healing the world. I've started joining Emma in a few parent counseling sessions. No longer a failed mother, but a mother willing to start over. Emma and I, 2 survivors, 2 people starting again. One Sunday morning, we walked under the early sun. Emma pointed at a father and child flying a kite and said, I wish every kid had memories like that instead of ones like mine. I held her hand and replied, but because of you, maybe you've brought that wish closer for so many other kids. Emma looked at me, eyes glistening, but no tears fell. That night, she wrote the final line in her book. I was a child stolen by the people who were supposed to protect me, but I chose to take back my voice and give it to others. I don't need recognition. I just need someone to be saved. Emma's book was released online for free and downloaded over 500 times in 3 months. A 13-year-old girl created something that decades of systems hadn't, because she knew the pain and she knew how to reach hearts. I no longer say I'm proud, because that doesn't come close. I just say, thank you for not collapsing when I was too exhausted to catch you, and thank you for teaching me what it means to live truthfully. Today, Emma still lives like any normal teen, MA, studying, eating, reading, and healing. She's not famous, she's not on TV, she doesn't wear medals. But if you've ever read something that helped you get back up, there's a good chance Emma was the one who wrote it. If you ever thought kids don't understand anything, think again. Because sometimes, it's the children who are the only ones brave enough to speak the truth. Share this story if you believe honesty starts at home. And if you were once a child who had to grow up too soon, you're not alone. Comment below, I see myself in Emma. If you've ever had to be stronger than your age,